Hi, my name is Karina, and I wanted to share my story of Lyme. Um, Lyme, of my initial struggle, and now recovery or essentially symptom free, just to let everyone know there is hope, and to share my story of how I had to be my own advocate. So I don't know how long I had Lyme, which I also learned I had Bartonella and Babesia, but it could have been years. Looking back, I think of different issues that I had that it may be Lyme related. I remember as a child, I found ticks on me, but it wasn't until maybe, I think 22, 23, early 23. I would say it probably started though earlier, where I just started having major issues. So I was having issues. I felt like I was existing, and it was getting worse and worse. It hurt to lay in bed. I had severe leg pain, weakness. They felt like brick cement, and it hurt to walk. I could barely walk a block, and my legs wanted to fall off. Severe knee pain. I limped everywhere. No balance at all. I couldn't put on my pants or anything. I couldn't even barely step up on a curb. My feet would cramp all the time. I couldn't bend my toes. They would tremor. I couldn't feel my toes. I had shooting pains in my feet all the time. And I thought I had carpal tunnel. My hands wouldn't grip things well. I'd always drop things. I would trip all the time. I would get electrical shocks in my arms, sharp shooting pains in my feet. And every night my arms and hands would fall asleep, constantly switching sides. So it hurt to lay in bed. My arms would fall asleep. Sometimes even when I was driving, my legs would fall asleep. My feet would get into cramps. I couldn't remember words. I really had word finding issues, which I still feel like I have that issue. I couldn't remember the proper word for things, like simple things like a table. So it was just a long list. My eyes would water all the time. I was convinced I had ADHD because I couldn't remember anything. And I was positive I suddenly had adult ADHD, but I think it was actually just Lyme disease. But, I was in pain. It was just miserable. The hardest part was the walking, the knee pain, the whole leg pain. My leg collapsed on me before, from standing. Totally gave out on me. So I didn't realize anything was wrong until, I thought I was just being older, right? Out of shape, older. I was on a trip to Mexico, and it was a long week, 6 flights in 6 days, and I thought I was dehydrated. I get home, touch my calf, and it's moving. Not just a little bit of twitches and scintillations, but extreme movement, up and down, pulsing, like something's under my skin. I'm like, well, this is weird. I touch my other calf. Same thing. My calves are going crazy. Then I realize it's happening in my feet too. Happening in both feet and my big toe, because it's twitching so much, it moves side by side constantly. But fast forward, this twitching has never stopped. But most of my symptoms are resolved. So getting to how I treated my issues and symptoms, because I just could not imagine having to spend my life like this. And I started researching, and I was seeing everything that it said about ALS with the twitching, the weakness, etc. But so what happened is I went to urgent care because I thought I was dehydrated. They weren't sure. I went to my regular doctor. He wasn't sure. I went to my ortho. They said it was just bad arthritis in my knee. Cortisone shots, gel shots, nothing would work at all. And then I went to a podiatrist because of my feet issue that hurt so bad. They couldn't figure it out. They could see the twitching, but they said I should go to a neurologist. So I went to Cleveland Clinic. I live in Cleveland. Went to a neurologist there, and I went there to really just eliminate my fears that what I was reading was ALS. So good news. He ruled out MS in our first visit, but he told me he thought I had ALS because of all my symptoms. And I also had severe hyperreflexia, which is a symptom of ALS. He thought I had atrophy in my left leg, but I mean, that was my bad leg, but I also had ACL surgery. But then just all the symptoms I was showing him, that's what he thought. So I had an EMG that, there was some weird things in that, but really they thought it was S1, L5 related, but we did an MRI, nothing showed there. So he told me, you know what, let's see if you get worse. And I was already bad. Let's wait 6 months and come back, because he said, I cannot rule out any insidious disease. So let's just see if you get worse. So I was doing research, and my friend brought up like Lyme disease, because her grandmother passed away from ALS, but shortly before they found out she had Lyme disease. And my friend put that bug in my head, so I asked for Lyme testing and, did the regular CDC test, had no idea that it was flawed and that it didn't cover all bands and was less than 50% accurate. So we did the test, and my neurologist comes back and says, great news, you're negative on Lyme. I didn't think to ask what did my results actually show. I just took that, okay. But I joined groups on Facebook about ALS because I felt like I was living a nightmare. I felt miserable. It was hard to just be, and started going down a rabbit hole. And somebody on one of the groups said, do yourself a favor and join when ALS, MS, TM is Lyme. So I'm like, okay, here's Lyme again, and I started doing a lot of research and joined that group. And I thank Roxanne 100%. She helped me get the Vibrant America Tick-Borne 2.0 test, and took the test, and lo and behold, get the results back on August 19th of 23. And I had so much Lyme, many bands, many strains. I also had Bartonella and other co-infections, but I had tons of Lyme. And what's interesting too is, that alone, I'm like, yes, this is it. That very day, that weekend, and I think it was the same day, Jessica, who I'm actually doing this video for, she's a huge advocate in the Lyme community because of her mother. Her mother's article came out about her quest to help her mother, because she had a ALS diagnosis from 3 clinics, including the Mayo Clinic, and what ultimately ended up being Lyme disease, and now she's better. So I think I read that article maybe an hour after I got my positive Lyme test. So then and there, I knew I was on the right path. So I'm going to share with you what I did in my treatment plan. I found an LLMD in Worcester, Ohio, AHP Krista, who I cannot thank enough either. She put me on the path of healing. I did a lot with her. I did some on my own. But essentially what we did, the big thing I think with Lyme too is getting rid of your inflammation, right? I was highly inflamed, and a lot of this is geared towards that. But what we did was, she started me off slow with Spiral Upbound by Bloom Reveal. It has a number of essential oils that are designed for Lyme and Bartonella. So she started me, I guess, on a dosage of like a teaspoon at first, and then for 2 weeks took that, and then I added the antibiotic minoxidil, and took 1 a day and up to 4 a day. I paired that with grapefruit seed extract. I think that helps with some of the herxing and biofilms, and also took a really good probiotic, at least 50 billion. And I was on antibiotics for like a year. But along with that, I started the detox pack from Pure, and then I added in methylene blue prescription. Based on my research, I was doing glutathione injections. I still do all this. B12 injections, methylated, because that helps a lot with, I can feel my toes again. And later on I did incorporate ivermectin in, and I still take that too, just for antiviral. But she thinks I have not only like Bartonella, but also Babesia. Those are the two things left. I did do peptides. So I did LL37 for a bit, designed for Lyme, and then also BPC 157. Didn't do that a lot, but I did some. But then the supplements I took on a regular basis, all designed for Lyme, is like oil of oregano. That acts like a natural antibiotic. Black garlic extract with allicin, needs to have allicin in it. That helps, I think, with both Lyme and Bar, and also with inflammation. You have to do a good charcoal pill binder. I've done a couple different versions. I think the Ultra Binder by Quicksilver is a good one. Magnesium, vitamin C is a must. Vitamin D, vitamin K combo, fish oil, B complex. I said the methylated B12. NAD is a must. NAC is a must. Amino acids. And I do think, unless it's a coincidence, I feel like I turned a corner when I added in the tick formula from Limelight. It's a liquid. I also did tick immune support from Amazon. Both of those have like the Japanese knotweed, the cat's claw, everything designed for Lyme and Bartonella. Turmeric, CQ10, I'm going to say this wrong, sarsaparilla, which is supposed to be great for Lyme, and also sulforaphane, which is a broccoli extract, which is supposed to be really good for you. I also did 10 sessions of ozone IV. I did do some IVs of methylene blue also. I did PEMF, and I still do PEMF, and red light therapy at wellness places. Root Cause Wellness, I love in Berea for that. Luckily, it's right down the road for me, and I also get vitamin IVs from them twice a month. I've been going there for over 2 years, so I get 2 to 3 a month. So I've had over 60 IVs over the course of almost 2.5 years. But typically vitamin C, Triimmune, B complex, methylated B12 is what I do. It really helps me not get sick, and also hydrated, and the vitamin C is really good for Lyme as well. I would have to do Zofran quite a bit because of the nausea that I would have, but I'm happy to say I do not get nauseous very often anymore. So inflammation, I think, like I said, is the biggest thing with Lyme too. That makes your joints feel terrible, and just it's a big part of the healing process. And so I would say at this point, and I started treatment in really September of 23, and now it's January of 26. I have been saying I'm 90% better. I typically feel really well. My twitching has never stopped, which is the biggest concern for me. So we're still treating that with like the Malarone, and I have some other things because Bartonella and Babesia can do weird things to your blood. So I have some strange things going on there. Still taking the oil of oregano, black garlic extract. I've added in some other things. I'm doing the methylene blue, the ivermectin, still the, IVs, and I do have a PEMF mat at home, but I like to go to Root Cause for it. And I like to go get NAD drips and everything down at AHP in Worcester. But, I guess I'm still trying to fully heal, and I know that you can only really maybe manage your symptoms. So from Lyme, I feel like I'm symptom free. And I still have some lingering issues with the Bartonella and Babesia because we did a test and I saw biofilms there. But I guess the overall message here is, number one, you can get better. Number two, you have to be your own advocate. Be open to learning. I swear, I watched The Quiet Epidemic early on. I've watched that more than once. Under Our Skin on YouTube really showed me so much. I had no idea about this world of Lyme. I always thought we should trust doctors, which I do, but I'm just shocked by the fact that this whole Lyme world exists the way it does. I never would have believed it if I hadn't lived through it. So, I mean, be patient with people around you who don't really understand it. I can tell you that my friends and family say, like, they may not understand it, but what they do know is that I'm so much better. So much better. People even tell me, like, oh my gosh, it's amazing. Like, you're like a speed walker, and it was painful to watch you walk before. And it's just like from across the board, like I can't remember when I felt better. So there is hope. You have to be patient. You're going to feel worse before you feel better. I remember I felt like I had the flu from the neck down a lot, and I was really tired, sleeping a lot. I mean, I think when I first did ozone IV, it wanted to knock me out. And then even when I started the antibiotics, I would herx. But that's okay. Like, it means it's working. You want to herx, so don't be afraid of that. Just be patient with yourself, and don't be too hard on yourself, because you can get through it. Unfortunately, it takes time, and it's not going to happen overnight. Because for a long time, I would be like, well, I'm not getting worse, but nothing was happening. Then suddenly I realized, oh my gosh, my arms aren't going to sleep every night, and that was happening for months. And then suddenly I'm like, oh my gosh, I can walk. I have strength in my legs. My husband was shocked that I could go and weed the hillside, and I think that was like in May of 24. And I just kept getting better and stronger, and not wanting, I just didn't want to give up, because I know I know how you feel. Like, I know how hard it is, and I know how confusing it can be too. But you have to be your own advocate. You don't have to do everything I did. There's things that you can do. But so if anyone has questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'm an open book, so I always want to share. I want to help others get better. And just don't take, like, if you get a diagnosis and you're not sure what's wrong and you're having all sorts of issues, don't take a diagnosis of MS or ALS as at face value. You really can't. There could be other treatable options, things that are wrong with you that you can treat, like Lyme, because I hate to think of where I would be if I had not been my own advocate. I really don't know where I'd be if I had not sought help. That's how bad I was. And like I said, I feel better than ever. So I hope, each of you who's ever struggling out there, can find a way, because you can get better. So thanks for listening to my story, and I wish everyone the very best. Bye.